Hello, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. Thank you for joining me for this IPA talk, and excited for who I got here with me today, Jeff.sefcik, who is the middle school principal there at Stanton Middle School up in Fox Lake. So Jeff, thanks for joining me here for a bit to share a little bit about your story.
Absolutely, really excited.
So Jeff, before we get into the purpose for this IPA talk and some of the exciting work that you're doing there at your school, I always would be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself, your background, and and also about your school.
Sure. So back in the late 80s, graduated from Coastal Carolina down in the Myrtle Beach area. National champs in baseball, 2016, by the way.
Yeah.
With a degree in psychology and no idea what I was going to do. So spent a couple years in the business world. I followed my dad. That's where he was in the electronics industry, and got a phone call from my old high school baseball coach, Rod Molick, Driscoll Catholic High School in Addison, and said, "Hey, the school's in trouble. I'm going to become the principal, and I need you to come back and teach and take over the baseball program." So we did that. I started there in 1992. Head baseball coach, head girls basketball coach, not 1 minute in the classroom until I stepped in the classroom.
Wow.
Went back and got my my education and got the master's degree in educational leadership. So spent a couple years teaching before I actually was certified to teach, and spent 10 years there. It was awesome, greatest change in my life. Glad I'm not in the business world anymore. I'm actually impacting kids, I hope. Been doing it for 31 years now. So I spent 10 years at Driscoll. We moved out here to Lake County, my wife and I. My wife's the superintendent at Grant Community High School, which is where we feed into, Jeff.sefcik.
Yeah.
So we moved out this way, and I got a job teaching middle school in Wakanda. Dr. Dave Wilm, who's the superintendent there now, was the principal at the middle school. He hired me. We've still become lifelong friends now. So great relationship there. I spent 3 years teaching middle school, which everyone thought you're crazy, but
those kids, I got a couple middle schoolers in my house, Jeff. So yeah, they are a little crazy.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so those that are working with them got to be a little crazy too, right?
Well, we know that. We know that. Yeah. So spent 3 years there, and position to open up Fox Lake at Stanton School as an assistant principal. So I came over and interviewed and fooled the people here, and 18 years later, I'm in my 14th year as principal. I spent 4 as the assistant principal. So just excited to wake up and get to Fox Lake every day.
So Jeff, I've known you for a while, and one of the things that I really appreciate about you is, I mean, you're about going all in for kids. And I know occasionally I get press clippings here from the Press Association, and every once in a while I'll get a press clipping from the principal, about the principal of Stanton Middle School, and the latest thing that he's dressed up as. I mean, again, like I remember like a Frozen theme one time. You did some singing, I think, or whatever. So can you share a little bit about that and what brought that on?
Yeah, so we started, actually, I learned about what we call the Day of Service. Lee Hoffman down in Peoria.
Yep, I know Lee.
At the conference, he talked about their day. So it was a breakout session, and I thought, you know what? I'm tired of my kids selling stuff for a different company so our PTA could raise a couple $1,000s. We're gonna do like Lee did, and my secretary and I drove down, spent the day with Lee and his secretary, and about 7 or 8 years ago, we started our Day of Service. And so every year it's a fundraiser, but it's also a day of service. Kids get sponsors. And every year we set a dollar goal, and I'll pretty much do whatever the kids, want if we hit that goal. And so a few years back, Frozen was big, and that was the thing. We hit our goal. I have to dress up like Elsa and sing on the stage, Let It Go. It actually made the 5 o'clock news here at NBC, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, I've kissed a pig. I've been taped to the wall. I've dressed up like a princess and had to direct traffic down at the end of the street. So hey, whatever, keeps you young, right?
Yeah, that's terrific. Love it. Well, I appreciate all of that and the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, I was wearing that yesterday, so I thought I'd make sure the flamingo would be part of our background.
Well, and it's worth noting today's date that we're recording this is May 9th. So we are in Teacher Appreciation Week, Staff Appreciation, all of that stuff going on. So as you were explaining to me before we were recording, your superintendent there in the district has kind of a beach theme going on there. So love all of that stuff there that you've got in the background. So that's really good.
Yep, life is a beach.
Yeah, well, especially at this time of the year, we definitely need that. So let's get into one of the reasons I wanted to have this recording with you, Jeff, is a couple of weeks ago, I was in the Lake region for their student recognition event, and we had an opportunity to connect there for a little bit. And you were just talking with me about some of the early work that you're doing, related to supporting kids, with some of their social emotional needs and academic needs and all of that. And kind of the thing that I took away from our conversation was, and not to oversimplify stuff, but at least for my own simple mind, really about what you're doing to help build relationships with your kids and also support their wellness. We know that mental health is a big thing right now as we come out of the pandemic. And what, and over the years, of course, I've talked to lots of school leaders about doing those things. But what I appreciated about what you're up to here is that you're really working to systemize that and make it a systemic thing throughout your school, which I thought was a unique concept. Sometimes we don't think about, hey, what are the types of processes, procedures, and things to make sure that we're intentional with these things that we say that we value, we say that we think are important. But we'd always seem sometimes to miss the important piece about intentionality in doing the systemic things in order to get it done. And the other reason, besides that being very interesting to me, is wanting to talk to you at this moment in time, because you're still kind of in the early going with this work. And so I thought, all too often we hear about stuff on the tail end and, here's kind of how we got started, but we're really talking about the effect of it down the road, where obviously the heavy lifting, right, is right at the very beginning. We talk about Jim Collins and turning the flywheel to get that boulder moving. It's all the spinning that we have to do at the front end to get that boulder moving at all, to get any perpetual motion and inertia. So I wanted to chat with you a little bit about that and just hear from you first, I guess, what brought all of this to mind? Why, besides the obvious, why is it that you felt like the things that you're doing right now were important to start thinking about and start implementing?
Yeah, so actually we call it community building, and it came about while we were in the lockdown with COVID, and all the kids were at home, and so we built a virtual schedule, to where the students would have 20 to 30 minutes just to hang out virtually with their teacher and their kids, and it worked while we were in the virtual setting. But when we came back into the building, we had time set aside. We still called it community building. It was how we would start our day. But all we did was give the teachers time and some resources. We didn't really help beyond that. So to be honest, last year, it pretty much crashed and burned. Like I said, we had the time, we had the resources, but we didn't give a whole lot of direction. Mm-hmm. So this summer, we were lucky enough to hire a new social worker and a new counselor, and they came in excited. And I shared with them the idea, but I needed some help in figuring out how to implement it better. And so together last summer, we started building what we would call community building still, but we were going to direct it ourselves. We were going to call the teachers, instead of facilitators, parcilitators. So they would participate and facilitate. So we owned it as well. So it's everyone in the building at the same time. And so it's about a 20-minute period every day. Actually, let me go back to the beginning. We started playing music in the mornings too. So our kids walk in about 8:10. I've got a variety of playlists, some country, some 80s and 90s from my era. We play some Spanish music some days. So we have a little bit of a beat going in the morning. And then I play a little Tupac, All Eyes on Me, to get everybody's attention. I stand up on one of the lunch tables, and we celebrate birthdays. And we say, take care of your breakfast garbage, take care of yourselves and your things, and take care of each other. Let's have a good day. Then they go to the community building. And so the way we've built it, every day it's a little bit different. And both myself and Rochelle Peters, my assistant principal, play a role. Kim Mack, our school social worker, and Megan Reimers, our school counselor, play a role. And so does our instructional coach, Stephanie Kay. So we've built it to where we lead the way, and then we pass it off to the teachers in the classroom. We've also added it so that there's 2 adults in every classroom. So it's really a home base or a homeroom, traditional. So there's a teacher in every classroom, and then our wellness group, our instructional coach, our interventionists, our exploratory teachers, our paras, all get plugged into a classroom. So it doesn't all fall on one teacher, because they have to take attendance and do lunch count and breakfast count for the next day. And so there's actually 2 sets of hands in there to help out. So when the bell rings to kick things off, every morning, one of us, myself or Mrs. Peters, will start with good morning, welcome. We start with a moment of silence and self-reflection with a
Now,
theme.
is this over video, Jeff, or is it over announcements? How's that working for you?
Yes, yeah, just like we're doing now. So I try to get into a different classroom and do it live from a classroom. This morning I was down in 5th grade, and then all of our classrooms have Promethean boards, so all of our teachers are logged in. So it does have the virtual feel to it, but we do try to travel and get into different classrooms each day. And so on Thursday, I'll be in 6th grade, and then on Friday, I'll be in 7th grade. I try to rotate grades. And so we start with the moment of silence, self-reflection, the pledge, and then we do announcements. So where we used to do it traditionally on the PA, on the intercom, now you can see us, we can talk to you and correspond that way. As soon as announcements are done, and Mrs. Peters does those on Monday, I do them the other days, we pass it over to our school social worker. Kim runs us through a calm classroom. So she pulls it up. There's typically a video, maybe some water running down a stream, some crickets or birds chirping, but it's a very calm screen. And then today was like crisscross body recognition. So focus on your left foot, then focus on your right hand, focus on your left hand, and focus on your right foot. It goes about 3 minutes. So our teachers often will turn the lights down. I would say about 50% of our kids participate actively. The other 50% are just passively calm, which is okay. We just want to get them in a calm, ready to learn mindset. So many of our kids come in the morning, from homes that don't always prepare them to learn. And so that's a real important thing. So we do that every morning after announcements. And then we have a different theme each day. So Mondays are our check-in. Tuesdays are community circle. Wednesdays, we do our second step curriculum. Thursdays are an engagement strategy, and Fridays are our checkout day. So yesterday, Mrs. Peters ran us through announcements and then did a check-in. So things like good news that you want to share from the weekend. What are you looking forward to throughout the week? The zones of regulation are on there, and the kids actually log in to their Chromebooks, and there's a Google form. And then the last thing is, what do you need right now, if anything, and kind of an emotional check-in. And so when they hit submit, it goes to their classroom teacher, and it also goes to our social worker and our counselor. So any red flags we can pick up right away. Matter of fact, we just had one yesterday that we were able to support a kid right away. So it absolutely is working. But like you said, this is our first year doing it. So we're just starting to collect some data on that stuff.
So what Tuesday, are you using for the check-in part, Jeff? Are you using a certain type of software? And if you said it, I missed it. I apologize for that.
Just a Google form.
Okay, so it's something that you've created yourself there for that. Okay, so you said zones of regulation. What did you mean by that?
All right, so is the kid red, all fired up? Is the kid yellow, kind of like sleepy, tired? Is the kid green? Everything's great, Yeah. And so we red flag the zones, and kids have been pretty honest, especially those that are in need of seeing somebody. Yeah. So it's our way of really getting to the source right away as soon as we can.
I love doing that after a weekend too.
Oh yeah.
I can recall many days when I was former high school principal there. You come off a weekend, it's when things can be hot, right? So
Yep. And so many of our kids, that come from split homes, they go with the other parent on the weekend, so their routines are a little out, thrown out of whack. So Mondays are often a struggle for a lot of our kids. So and
so
then
check-ins on Monday. Yeah, go ahead. You're moving on. Go ahead.
Yep. Sorry. Tuesdays, we do a community circle. So this morning I was down in 5th grade. did our morning routine, and then our classroom. And then this morning was, since it's staff appreciation, our counselor and social worker, they pull it up on their screen. So it goes on all the classroom Promethean boards. What do you appreciate in your friends or in your family life? And then how do you show your appreciation? So down in the classroom, then we get in a circle. The teacher facilitates at that point, and all the kids share, who they're grateful for, who they appreciate, and then how they show their appreciation. That was this morning. And they have usually 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of talk after that.
Sure.
On Wednesdays, it's straight second step because we need to make sure we have enough time to get that in. So we don't do any of our other things on Wednesday other than second step. And then on Thursday, we incorporated learning for our teachers as well. So we have a kind of a young staff. And so our instructional coach develops an engagement strategy that the kids do in community building with their facilitators that the teachers can then take and apply to their content in their teaching throughout the day. So that happens every Thursday. And then Friday, I run the checkout. So the checkouts are name one person or thing you trusted, something or someone you're grateful for throughout the week, someone who inspired you from the week, and then something that you're looking forward to that's going to be fun this weekend. Same deal. They do the Google form. It goes down to our wellness group, and hopefully it's a celebration, but the kids who are having a rough go, we're able to identify and get them the help they need.
Wow, that's terrific. I love the immediacy of being able to intercede with kids if necessary, and being able to recognize that quickly.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're really blessed to have 2 great people this year, and they're both in their first year, so this is new. Kim and Megan have been phenomenal. They're out with the kids in the morning when they get here. We have about a 20-minute period where they're just hanging out with the music playing in the cafeteria in the morning. So they see faces and bedhead and whose head's down and whose hood's up, and so they're able to identify a lot of what's going on first thing. But this gets the kid who maybe would fall through the cracks, who's not willing to go and ask for help, an opportunity to seek help kind of anonymously so that we can help them as well. So we've been blessed to have Kim and Megan for sure.
Well, obviously, good people help get good things done there for sure. Yeah. Let me ask you here though, Jeff. Obviously, you explained how you had this community building time during the pandemic and wanting to have that time for community for the kids and for the adults when you were not seeing each other face to face.
Yeah.
Kept that time, but felt like it was maybe a little loose this last year, and so really have this year work to implement some intentional things for people to be doing during that time. So, the obvious question for any school leader when you're thinking about a new initiative like this, how's it been going with the team? Obviously, you are working, you're personally invested, you're demonstrating things yourself and making sure that you aren't just dictating from afar that this needs to be done and then stepping away from it, right? And then expecting people to do it. You're actually doing it and not doing anything that yourself that you expect other people to do, right? So, but how's that going with your staff there? And I know you're still in it and working with staff, so I'm not going to ask you to say anything you really can't get into, but what's been the general feel from the team here?
Yeah, so we did actually last week. We just put out, we created our own Google form again and surveyed the staff. So we'll be looking at, I meet with our wellness group every Wednesday. So we'll be looking at that data tomorrow. I can tell you that just the colored graphs, satisfactory, very satisfactory. We just made a simple form and then some comments. Things look really good. We'll dig into some numbers, like I said, tomorrow. And we already have time set aside to do some summer work. To look at some of the areas that maybe we thought were going well and maybe the staff want to see a change. The majority of the comments that I read were great, but there are some good ideas too. And so hopefully if we can, well, for example, I used to sit at my desk for the first semester and do all of the announcements and things from my desk.
Yeah.
A fifth grade teacher, so this didn't come from any form or survey, but a fifth grade teacher said to me about a month ago, wouldn't it be cool if you went around to the classrooms? And I said, yeah, it would. I'm not sure why I didn't think of that. So actually, when you walk down the hallway and the fifth graders are being personally greeted at the door, because we do that now too, and they see me with the computer. Oh, come in my classroom. Come in my classroom. The eighth graders not so much, but fifth graders for sure. Yeah.
Right. Right. You bet. So let me ask you just from the kids' perspective, Jeff.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned, being able to get to some kids that were in need, but and again, I know you're starting to look at the data and everything, but just anecdotally here and formatively, as you're thinking about your own observation as a leader of the school and looking at things from a high level, what are you sensing about things as you think about this year versus maybe the previous year with students?
Great question. So last year, we were happy if the kids were in the building. And we had a lot of hallway roamers. We had a lot of hoods on, but they were here and safe and fed. And that was kind of what we were okay with last year. This year, we want to see your face, your hood's off. You're in class when the bell rings and you're engaged. And so I can tell you, I'm also part of our PBIS committee. So our data that way has looked so much better. Our detentions are down. Our suspensions are way down. Our MAP scores are on the rise. So the engagement in the classroom's on the way up. We will dig into all that and see, where we're doing well in some areas of growth. Like I said, this summer, we've got some time set aside. So we're going to call it Community Building 2.0 next year. Mm-hmm. I think overall it's been a pretty big hit. But sometimes when you're in it and leading it, you think it's going great, and not everyone agrees. And so, we'll definitely take the input from the staff that we just received. We will survey the kids here in the next couple of weeks too, probably a similar type question to get their input as well. But just the feel of the building, staff wise too, it's just different this year. You can just feel a positive energy. A grateful, there's a lot of gratitude, a lot of kudos being shared, and our superintendent does a Monday morning memo. And so the first thing is staff, sharing kudos with other staff. We're the foxes here. So once a month, we have about 8 stuffed foxes, little stuffed animals that we share with each other for going above and beyond. We're starting all of our meetings with some celebrations, and I just feel, I don't want to say back to normal, because who knows what normal is anymore, but just feel good about coming every morning, and what I couldn't say that last year, the year before, for sure.
Yeah, you bet. Let me ask you, getting back with your staff's perceptions of things, Jeff, do you feel like they've been receptive to, you being a little bit more, I hate using this word prescriptive, but in terms of just your general expectations of what you want to see being done during this time? I mean, I got to think, by and large, many are probably appreciative of you bringing some tools and actually training them up on how to do some of this, rather than just saying, hey, here's 20 minutes, good luck. We know how sometimes that can go, because they're busy working with kids, getting ready to teach for the day. I mean, I love that you talked about having, 2 people, not just a teacher, but other available staff, support team members being there too, to help make sure the administrative stuff we know that takes time still gets done. So, I'm just kind of curious from their perspective here, as we think about other school leaders that may watch this that are going, all right, how this sounds great. The first thing I got to think about is, how do I get that buy-in with the team? So just curious about digging in on that just a little bit more.
Yeah, good question. So a lot of times when there's change, as there's a little pushback, and so really, if you can explain the why behind things, and so another thing we started this year too was personal greetings at the door for every period. So our teachers greet our kids at the door with some of the greatest questions. I had a teacher not too long ago. She brought her old rotary dial phone in and greeted every student by asking them to dial their phone number. Kids didn't even know how to touch that. So, but we showed them the research behind that. That gets you about 18 or 20% increase in engagement once you get them in the classroom. So when you know them by name and you greet them with a smile, you got a 20% more chance of getting them engaged once you walk into the classroom. So all the teachers want their kids to learn. So if we can show them simple ways to maybe spend a little extra time up front and get 10 times that, in return, which is what we've tried to do. I know it is change, and it does take a bit of time and planning and things like that, but if you can show what you get in return, I think, you'd be a fool if you didn't follow along.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I just love, Jeff, about again what you're doing here, at IPA, we talk a lot here now through our school year paradigm or leadership framework. When it comes to the actual work of doing what we need to do for kids, we kind of put it in three big buckets: our leadership domains, culture, systems, and learning. All too often, though, with leadership development and the work of leaders, we talk a lot about culture. We know the importance. We know what the research says about that. We obviously want learning outcomes, but it really relies on systems in order to make those things happen, right?
Yeah.
And what I love about, again, as I kind of kick this off here, is I love the intentionality of thinking through the systems of elevating the culture there and doing those things every day, getting into the habits of all of that, and so that things continually improve. And then it sounds like in the early going here that your data is following suit, including student performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to digging in this summer and hopefully, putting some sort of a more formal presentation together and getting out and share it with the IPA and whatever group will have us. I want to absolutely, at least minimally, to kick off next school year. You always have a couple institute days, but have something to share with the staff to show those that return the success that we've had, and then any new staff, kind of what you're walking into and what kind of a culture and climate we want to have here. And so I'm looking forward to this summer a lot. I know the data is going to show, but I can't wait to just see it on paper.
So if people want to connect with you, Jeff, in the meantime here, how can they do that? And we'll be sure to include this in the show notes as well. But what are the best way that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'd be willing to send out the Google Classroom and have people join and watch. Long as it's, I don't know anything about technology, but it takes me a long time just to get into Zoom and these things and all that. So
sure.
I think that would be a cool way to do it. But if people just wanted to email me, Jeff, Jeff.sefcik, SEFCIK at foxlake114.org. My office phone is 847-973-4205. And if you want to text me or call me before 9 o'clock, because I go to bed early, I'm old. My cell is 847-456-0867. So I would love to share. I think it's cool to jump in and watch. We have had a couple of local schools do that. Mm-hmm. Actually, our grade school did that not too long ago, and they actually participated with us. So some of the old teachers got on the screen, and some of their kids really enjoyed that too. So probably the best way to do it. Yeah,
I love that, because then those kids will start seeing what they're in for in not too long period of time, right?
Yeah.
I think that would get them excited about coming over there to be in middle school. That's terrific. Yep. That's terrific. Well, Jeff.sefcik, thanks for joining me. I got to tell you, I was hoping Elsa would show up here for this IPA talk, but maybe we'll leave that to another time, and maybe we'll do this again as things continue to progress for you, and we'll see what the data shows. That'd be a lot of fun. So, Jeff.sefcik, principal at Stanton Middle School up in Fox Lake. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Had a blast.
My pleasure. Again, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. As always, if there's anything IPA can do for you, don't hesitate to give us a call or check us out on the web at ilprincipals.org. Take care.